Plat Chat Overwatch, episode 253. I'm here with Jaws, Avast.
Hello.
We're here to recap week 1 of OWCS, EMEA, and NA. No Solomon today, so I'm flying solo as a producer, so I apologize in advance, but we'll do our best to cover all the amazing action that happened. And that's kind of where I want to start, guys, before I even ask how your day was.
Yeah.
I just like to hear from you guys.
Okay.
Pretty awesome opening weekend. Like, I had a lot of fun this past weekend. It was a great time.
It was a good time. I will say the tech issues obviously suck. Some of them not the fault of production. Some of them are fault of monopolistic ISPs. Yeah, but other than that, it was pretty cool.
He's Bernie Sanders post.
Dude, I love monopolistic ISPs. I think we should have more of them. I think they should only cover. They should cover entire states. So.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Avast internet issues? Because Avast couldn't co-stream on Saturday?
No. I did have
about Rose. Yeah. Rose's internet issues. Because Rose was like, has never had a problem ever before, and then was like disconnecting like randomly. Like her whole internet would like blip out for like 5 seconds or whatever, and then she'd like freeze, a classic freeze frame, and then she'd come back, and monopolistic ISPs win again. Congratulations, guys. You're making billions while we make.
So true.
Yeah,
that's the ISP's fault.
I mean, it genuinely was.
American ISP situation. Truly is a mystery to me.
It was. It wasn't even like Rose's fault. It was such.
I mean, to be fair, comparatively, I'm gonna be honest. American ISPs suck. Don't get me wrong. Unless you want to sponsor us, then you guys are really good. But like overall, like I've never had that. My issue was not internet, by the way, for the co-stream. Mine was a hardware problem because my PC is dying. So I literally couldn't hardware encode like the stream. It was just a disaster. My PC is like 6 years old. So like mine has actually nothing to do with internet. It's because my PC is built with bubblegum, duct tape, and mud and dirt. I'm like the guys doing ancient technology where they like build the big pit and they like sculpted like a house out of clay and shit, and then they fill it up with like water and stuff. Like that's my PC.
I mean, honestly, better that than getting a 5090 and have 3 of them delivered to your store and there's 500 scalpers outside.
That's true. That's true.
Better than that.
Wait, what are you referencing here,
SEO.
It's just the new card.
You know the 59. You've not seen the 5090?
No, yeah, I know, but why did you bring up scalpers and stuff? Did you?
Because that's the only people that are buying them is scalpers, bro. There's images of scalpers like they're outside the micro center or whatever, and they're posting on Facebook Marketplace of the 5090 in their hand, and the micro centers in the background. Like, hey, you want to buy this for $5,000?
Which is crazy because it's not
personally. Before we get into Overwatch, every single scalper to be guillotined. Every single one of them.
Jesus Christ!
Well, first of all, why did you put the hard? Why did you put the hard L in it? Guillotined, guillotine, guillotine,
guillotine, guillotine. But it's a guillotine. It's a guillotine.
No, it's like a French word, man. I'm pretty sure it's like the L is silent. Like there's no. You don't say guillotine. You say guillotine.
What?
Yeah.
Guillotine?
No.
Guillotine?
You definitely...
I've been saying it wrong for 30 years.
I have a question for you here, Joss. I have a question for you.
I did not try and buy one.
How would you pronounce this movie?
Oh, Johnny, if you're going to give me some just absolute horseshit, like 5-star Michelin restaurant food take, it's Ratatouille, bro.
No, but yeah, exactly. So it's Ratatouille, so why is it not guillotine?
Ratatouille.
Is what Johnny's trying to say.
Oh,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You thought this was about Michelin food taste?
Dude, I'm like, okay, Johnny's gonna come in with some like, guys, I had a 72-year aged steak yesterday, and I fried it up real good.
That would not be good. That's funny.
If he did, we would guillotine him.
Yeah, we would guillotine him
right there.
Okay, well, I've just been saying it wrong. Kill the rich.
When I go watch my favorite animated rat movie, I really loved Ratatouille. Ratatouille was very fun.
To be fair, I had no idea that the dish they cook in Ratatouille with like the veggies, they were like very thinly sliced veggies. I had no idea that was a thing. I've never had one. It seems really good. I'd eat one.
It looks pretty good.
It seems like a very French experience, perhaps.
I don't even know what it's called, but it looks
called Ratatouille.
What's called Ratatouille?
Wait, that's the actual name of the dish?
Yeah, that is the name. That is the premise.
That's literally the whole thing. That's the whole point of it.
Rat makes
Oh.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, it's an
and it's
actual
called
like
Ratatouille. And it's funny because the chef guy that kind of looks like Connor in like an animated weird Disney way.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Close.
You're talking about that guy?
You think
Yes.
that looks alright?
The guy with the red hair?
It's crazy because it's like I'm
Sure,
seeing
the
two
nose.
Connors in the film.
Maybe the nose, but like other than that, like I don't think there's anything else. Like it's
you
just
put
the
one of those
nose
wigs
side.
on, you'd go crazy with it, honestly.
That,
That'd be good
I mean,
Halloween.
also because like his eyes are way too big. His eyes are
That's-
way bigger
that's
than my
every Disney movie.
It looks more like Sideshow than it looks like Avast.
Oh,
It looks more
Josh,
like
when he
Josh.
still had hair.
Oh, you
Yeah.
actually are not far wrong. You put the
When he still
Josh
had hair.
mustache on him, maybe.
Problem is he doesn't have that big of a nose.
Yeah, that is true. He's got a
He would
very
need
normal
my
sized
nose for his face. But if he still had hair,
You
it'd
should
be
do one of those
possible.
face merges where it's like you.
Mm.
All right. Anyway, great weekend of Overwatch behind us.
Wow, we
That's-
learned a lot there.
Yeah, we learned a lot there. No,
This
honestly
live?
though, no, this is not live. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll premise that as well.
Okay.
This is not live for the only reason that I forgot to ask for a thumbnail, and so I was like, we can't go live without a thumbnail. So I'm fully
That's okay.
responsible. I'm to blame. I'm losing it. I'm falling off. I can't even organize our own Plat Chat podcast anymore. All
Honestly,
good. All good.
We were all falling off.
I'm
falling.
rusty. It's week 1. It's the week 1 recap. I'm rusty. Anyway, yeah, it was an incredible week 1, really. And Ob Sojourn had a tweet actually where they were just glazing the format, and I completely agree. Like, I'm so happy we have this format now. It's easy to forget that last year we had the whole like Swiss stage into very one-sided
Main
group
event.
stage. The first matches weren't broadcast, and now we just obviously we had the qualifiers in January, but we jumped straight into this round robin group format, and I'm thrilled. Like, the matches are scheduled, all the matches are being broadcast. They're really competitive. In both regions, a lot of upsets really. And I just had a blast in this opening weekend. Hero bans. Like, where do you guys even want to start? I just felt like overall it was a really, really fun week 1.
Yeah, I mean the format is like actually good. It reminds me of the 2020. Did the 20 format or 23? That was the go.
Was it? They're talking about the first time that we did this. Like we changed
Mid-season
up
Madness
Mid-season
and-
Madness.
That
That
was
was 2022.
2022, yeah, and that was like
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Holy shit, this format is sick." It's kind of reminded me of that, where everybody's gone into this like, "Okay, it looks pretty promising," and then yeah, after the first couple of weeks, oh shit, actually amazing. And hopefully we don't repeat history where next year we go to a completely different format because Overwatch still year to year to year to year from Overwatch League has had a different format every single year since its inception. So,
To be fair, people
If we
still
just
hated
keep this-
2022 initially because of how they did how like Mid-season Madness you had to do well.
yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, there was that. And then it was always drama about how many matches you were going to have in the qualifier stage. Because wasn't it
Yeah.
like 21 or something for Mayhem played like 4 matches and they qualified for the stage 1
Ton more.
playoffs or something?
Somewhat.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the better
So-
Overwatch League formats, though, I'll say.
No, it
and,
was good. It was good.
and this format now that we have with how Face It works and it leads into OWCS, it's honestly a format that I think a lot of us have tried. Like, it was last year, it was a bit disappointing having some of the games on the first stage is not even broadcasted whatsoever. And like you said, Johnny, a lot of them just not close. And that was the kind of like copium I think a lot of people talked about too. Was like, games aren't even close, bro, so it doesn't even matter. But still, you want to see games. You
Totally.
want to have to randomly go in someone's like VOD archive and like find the first person. Like, yeah. So, this format is sick. Yeah, it's been good. The quality of matches have been like, it's helped
Yeah.
with the meta.
Totally. No, yeah, I totally agree. Avast?
I mean, I think it's good. I like it. I mean, review. Just to review for people. Also myself. You going crazy, but wasn't last year also qualifiers? Like we did, like round. Was it not round robin?
Well, it was
Last year?
4 groups. And so
Yeah.
all the top teams were in separate groups and didn't play each other. And so the group stage was essentially
That's
just
right.
the top seeds just sweeping. And then sometimes you'd have like a close 2-3 matchup.
That's right.
And it essentially, to me, as a fan, I was just like, the group stage is just weeding out the bad teams, essentially. Whereas I want to tune in every week and just like see some top tier Overwatch, see the best teams play. And what ended up happening was in the group stage last year is because a top team would inevitably go 2-0 on the first week, they wouldn't even play on the second week. And so the second week was all like, you know, the third, fourth, sometimes the second best team in the group, they would all be playing matches. And like, as much as there are tons of pros to like a very open format like that and giving everyone equal opportunity like that, at the end of the day, it's such like, there's so much more interest put, what's the word I'm looking for? Not unilaterally, but like way more fans are interested in watching the top teams than you know, the lower teams. And so what you need for a good entertainment, good product, is you want to see the top teams play as much as possible, right? That's why I think in 2021 it almost was like insane how many matches we had between like Shanghai Dragons, Dallas Fuel. Do you guys remember that in 21, where we saw the top teams play each other all the freaking time, because they were just trying to hammer that fact, right? Now that was a bit overboard to the point that I think we saw those teams play each other like 8 times or something, which was like ridiculous.
To be fair, wasn't that like the first thing of like, wasn't that the attack essentially? Didn't they only have like 5 teams?
Just something like that.
Was that the
maybe.
year? Was that the year I'm thinking of?
That was 2020 actually, but 2021 something similar, yeah. But they were really trying to hammer that fact. But like, let's look at Asia last year, for example, like the rivalry between Falcons and Crazy Raccoon. We didn't have anything equivalent to that, because our top teams would only play each other during the playoffs weekend. And most of the time they'd play maybe each other a couple of times if they played like the winners finals and the stage finals. But the point being is that we didn't see enough of the top teams last year, whereas I think in this format, obviously they scheduled all the top teams to play each other, especially in NA. So we got way more than we probably will on average. But it was still so much fun to just tune into the first week of groups, and the top teams are playing, and we're getting some great Overwatch, and everyone's just popping off and super excited. So I think that's what led to like my excitement in week 1, really. But yeah, it was really fun in that regard.
I know some fans, some teams, coach, not happy on the side about the scheduling.
Capitology?
Of like, oh, like we had like top team like get scheduled like back to back. I believe it was Nightmare and like Timeless. They had to play like SSG. Timeless played Nightmare. So like they essentially days back to back, and then like SSG. That's like the last match. But realistically, like it's just good to a bunch of the top teams. And like, you know, it's gonna get spread out throughout the season. It's just the first weekend they chose to throw a bunch of the really like matches right off the bat, which like personally I understand the frustration, but like I think everyone liked it. You know, everyone enjoys seeing all the good teams right away to like build that excitement. It's gonna be a long season ahead where you're not gonna be playing a bunch of hard matches. So like I think it's just one of those situations where it's simply because like realistically what like they spread it out, and it's like I think you get the same result. Like they're still playing those teams, but like now you don't have like a real hype open comparison.
Yeah, you need that hype weekend. Start off the year, like you just do.
Yeah, and also I mean like I think if you're, I think it sucked worse for like, Timeless. They had to play back to back because like SSG have like a day. But I think that's just also part of the format of like you're gonna play in a lot of open stuff like that happens all the time in like Counter-Strike. Oh yeah, we're gonna play like fucking 8 matches or something. You know? So like I do understand that we're not in that format, but personally I'm willing to trade it off, and I think also like it's not like they're like, okay everyone, we're gonna do a show match and like hands tied behind your back and you're gonna be jumping on one foot up and down. Like it's just like, oh yeah, let's play 2. It's not like ruining the competitive integrity. It's just giving you a schedule for like I get it, frustrating, but we gotta like build some hype here. Any hope for you to have professional?
We got entertainment max. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. We got entertainment max. True. Sacrifice some competitive integrity. That's
but the rest of it was good. I mean, the rest of it, I liked it. I think hero bans. we discussed it. I've discussed it with other people. Like, I think the hero bans are fun and they're good and they're a net positive. I would prefer, and I understand why they're not like this, but I still would prefer change hero ban system, like teams ban every time. There's not like I don't have a problem with the protection. It's more like I don't like the can't ban that team can't ban a hero more. I would like to see that changed because it's like, you know, a lot of times we end up with the same result of like, okay, well, we can't ban this, or like, you know, they're just doing protection bans to protect something, ban anything else app, like something they might actually want. And I understand why they don't. Like, team doesn't want same heroes banned time, and like, you know, they don't want to like that. It's like a marketing thing, like game. So I get it, but personally, the current system is funky, and it oftentimes is getting to the same result anyways, where it's like, you know, we can't, and also teams I feel like can't actually properly build an identity, because like, okay, you get one map essentially, like I'm gonna ban this hero for this map. Like, okay, but what if I go play another map where I would love to ban this hero for my strategy, but I can't because I can't ban that hero, right? So I think that's one of those things. Like, it still gives teams a lot of flexibility, like options, as you say, to essentially never at risk of like having to repeat have that hero. But overall, I like this system. Glad it's here. I'm glad we have hero bans. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. I'd just like it to be more.
What about you, Jaws? What do you think about the hero bans?
Yeah, I mean, me, Albert, and Connor discussed this the other day. Like, I think it's fine the way it is right now. I would personally prefer it this way rather than a free range, because I think it will make Team 4 happier, and I think it will help the game and the esport a lot, like a lot in the future. Dude, I can't speak, man. I've been to the fucking gym this morning, and I'm just like, bro, I don't know, blood sugar,
like glycogen is gone.
Dude, seriously, it's fucking crazy. I don't know, like my brain is just, my ass is not shooting anybody in fucking.
Don't worry.
But I think
you're doing great. You're doing great, Jaws. You're doing great.
Thanks. It's the worst move. It sounds so sarcastic. It's good overall. I think the people. It sounds going to sound crazy, but like the people that this matters to, I think are going to be happier that it's the way that it is right now. And what I mean by that is using this as a marketing thing, esports as a whole, and like having like Hazard being played a ton, new heroes in general being played a ton and more powerful. And like it goes back to like entertainment maxing, where like you want to see the new heroes. The fun heroes are currently meta, and the fast heroes that's not like fucking sitting there with Malga. We saw a little bit of Malga, right? But it's like Genji, like Ashe, Sojourn, like Ana, like things that are cool are meta, and that's very good for the game and very good for viewers that are tuning in for the first time and seeing fun heroes. That, and it's not like fucking Malga perma. Do I think it'd be better if it was free range? Probably yes, but I think it's a net benefit overall for the ecosystem of the game, to have the current system we currently have. Yeah, more eyes on the product mean good, and game doing better. Yeah, I will. One small thing I did, I put it on my Twitter, but someone in the Twitch chat, first time chatter, was like, damn, it'd be really cool if the players got to choose bans. I think Mercy would be banned a ton if the players got to choose. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, we are the guy, we are the ones choosing the bans, bro, on the broadcast. I was like,
oh, I was trying to figure out, like, I was like, what are they trying to even say by this? They're implying that like
Mercy would be banned if the players
picking the bans.
Yeah, but yeah, there you go. Imagine if they let the players choose the hero bans. I can see Mercy being banned every time. Like,
yeah.
Like, how
the Illuminati of hero bans.
Puppy Chow TV, how did you come to this conclusion? First time chatter, how did you come to this conclusion that the broadcast or someone else is deciding the bans? Like
Jay-Z and Beyonce be like, I'm going to ban my Illuminati pick for the day as I'm banning like, Hazard. I'm banning Hazard from today's map.
I just thought that was really funny, but
I think I told you last week, like Mercy hard meta in like bronze silver, because the damage boost just damage boost, like hard spam characters like Bastion or Risa.
On console, right?
Yeah, but you know, I can see it on PC as well. But
I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me if there are, like, in the lower metal ranks, that there are people who genuinely think that Mercy hard meta in low ranks translates to pro play 100%. As well. But
bro, like,
I don't want to call out Puppet Chow. I feel bad. I
will
feel
call
bad
out
for
Puppet
Chow.
They're probably just hilariously ill-informed, and they're probably like a little younger and haven't really thought about like the format. And
Why do
probably
Puppet Chow have to be younger?
Could be an
why
old
can't
head.
they be like a Why can't they be like a 40?
They are not an old head.
Why can't they be
are
a
not an old
42-year-old
head?
man
I just
named
think
Puppet Chow?
the more you get older, the more your reasoning part of your brain has developed and it's kind of kicked in. Also, Johnny, go to the forums and see what they think.
I don't know what this deal is with you.
My God.
This is the second time you're asking me to go to the Blizzard
forums.
I love the forums.
He loves going
I
to
love
the
the forums.
He loves rage bait. Jaws the type of guy to go and consume content to make himself purposely mad for no reason other than mad. He's like, oh, I can't wait to read something that makes me mad today. And like, I'm just gonna go read the thing that makes like the guys that go get stung by like poisonous ants.
Conspiracy theory. They want to destroy the game.
Oh, click it. Okay, click that. This is going to be a good one. They want... Okay, what's this? Alaska Wolf.
I'll read.
Okay, go on.
Conspiracy theory. They want to destroy the game. They want to destroy the game, not out of spite for the players, but spite for Blizzard in bold. Think about it. Jeff quit because Blizz wanted to go in a completely different direction than what he had promised the players. So maybe the rest of the team had their friends fired or something. And since they still get paid either way, they are just sinking the ship, in parentheses, Overwatch, as revenge. Right now, the matchmaker is so awful, it's like it's trying to make a bad matchup.
No,
just
wait,
saying,
saying.
His big complaint is that the match, his biggest problem is... That's a really interesting perspective! That's an interesting perspective! That's a really interesting perspective.
Dude, I'm going to say this right now. Thick Buddha is kind of a prodigy.
60,000 posts.
He's kind of a prodigy.
60,000 posts.
They're kind of a prodigy on the forums. I will say it. Every single thread that I looked at on stream the other day, Thick Buddha is in there.
This is a bot.
Giving their perspective.
Thick Buddha is a bot.
So they must have been posting on the forum since they had to have been posting on like the forums
since 2018.
Since like 2016. Since 2018. So that means they've been averaging. So that gives them what, 7 years?
This is a bot.
60,
look at this. Oh,
they're doing
really?
close to. They're doing like nearly 10,000 posts a year.
From your post, noted. Run off, Chan. Let's go poke Overwatch with a stick. Teehee. It's not moving anymore. What the fuck am I reading?
60,000. I mean, they're doing 8.5K posts a year. Yeah. 8,500 posts a year on average. Yeah.
There are a lot of forum heads out there.
8,500 posts a year. Okay, new segment. We have to go every day. We go to the front page of the forums, and I want to read a thread. Yeah, because this is actually giving insane.
16,000.
Oh, exactly 16,000.
Oh, okay, but the man Pog. Wow.
Anyway,
I mean,
the forums, their
20,000?
concept.
Never attribute to malice that which incompetence explains.
I just think that like I don't even care about the rest of it. I just think finding one good thread, because like the thing is I think that we're getting so derailed, but like the two things. This guy is so mad because the matchmaker, the matchmaking system he finds so bad, which is a complaint like essentially no one has. And then secondly, the guy with 60,000 posts in 7 years. Bro, does he? I mean,
I am not even an Overwatch player anymore. Like, sure, I will check out the new season. Like, sure, if
they're playing on the Overwatch forums and they don't play the game.
If they had Reinhardt, I will probably spend more money on the game. But for all intents and purposes, I am a Marvel kid. I am dressed up in my Spidey jammies right now as we speak.
I mean, this is just generational hate posting. I mean, it's even crazier because we're talking with a guy. You have 60,000 posts on the forums, man. You're still posting for the love of the game. I mean, we need to send him to a lab, and we need a straight grass injection into his veins. I need grass blended up, distilled. We need to put it in the centrifuge to get the most pure form of grass to inject directly into the veins.
A lot of forum heads.
I beg of you to see the sun. Talk to your loved ones. I beg of you. Do anything else. I'm begging.
They do pick up on the weirdest things to hate. Was going to be my point for like I don't know how we even got. But
Get us
anyway,
off this
they
cursing- get
hate
us
the
off this cursing
matchmaker.
page.
They hate Widow. They hate Mercy. And I think that's maybe Puppy Chow is their forum head. I'm not sure.
New player to Overwatch.
Replay code. Oh,
they're complaining about the game.
They had 57 frags.
Waste of money. The game is
free to play.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
I mean, this. I think to me, okay, you inspired me. We should have this segment simply because
It's
like that
good.
is that's a generational, like that generational two back to back, like guy that's so mad at the game that they're intentionally sabotaging because the matchmaker's bad, and then guy that does 60,000 plus posts in 7 years, and doesn't play the game anymore, but still is posting.
It's still posted.
Like that's just generational.
If you like
This is
controlled F the
truly
forums and
incredible.
search the forums for the word Marvel Rivals, you will be in awe. You will be in awe.
Can we get balance based on the win rate? Can we get balance adjustments based on actual win rate rather than the biased perception of the community or the opinions of the vocal majority?
You don't think we need to stop now, Johnny? Can we just talk about esports now? Because we are just
We have to get out of here. We have to get out of here.
We have to get out of here.
Jack, you started this. You started this, by the way. You started
I'm finishing it.
Because
I started
the
I'm
community
finishing it.
perceives Anna as overpowered?
Leave the forums. Leave the forums. Otherwise, we're going to be 60,000 posts deep, and we are going to be. We'll lose it.
Dude, let's wait. We should become. What was the guy's name? Monk Buffalo. Whatever his name was.
Buddha.
Thick Buddha.
We should become Thick Buddha next. We should make Thick Buddha 2, and we should try to
bring them on the podcast.
Bring Thick Buddha on the podcast.
Okay. Anyway,
okay.
Going back to hero bands, I had two things to say on hero bands before we wrap on them hero bands. First of all, I genuinely think they probably didn't have intentions of putting hero bans in the season before Stockholm was as bad as it was, because Stockholm was like an all-time crash out. Like people were like this, like this blows, like this manga freaking sucks. This is like worst case scenario. And so what? They pretty much copy pasted the WC format. I think if there are genuinely believe that there are improvements to be made to the hero ban system, they could make it at a later date. I think they just, in a short amount of time, tried to just copy paste what was proven already, because they had a limited amount of time to like even have the idea, propose this, are we going through with this, and they ended up with hero bans. And I think the second thing of all, it's a very minimal hero ban system. And so if you wanted to try hero bans for OWCS, this is kind of the way to at least start, where it's the most minimal way possible, where it's not like this team, you can never play this hero again. Like if you were the OWCS Japan team with the Torb main, you'd be like, our Torb main can't play Torb. But now it's like, we can ban Torb one map. Like it's the smallest implementation possible of hero bans. So it's a good way to start. But I could see how there's iteration down the line, depending on what they want the outcome to be. But I think it's a good start. And honestly, it led to some pretty fun compositions. Like we saw some versatility, and I don't know how much you can credit the meta versus hero bands actually doing its thing, but I think in general, like it seems like it's working for now after 1 week. Yeah, so
it's definitely both, because the meta, while it's not like it's not super open, it's better than like pure mirror. Although to be fair, if it wasn't for hero bands, it probably would. There'd be a Kiriko and Juno kind of stylistic difference, I think, in the backline, but it's going to be Hazard, Soj, Genji, Tracer, etc., depending on the maps. And I think, even I said this before, and like when we were talking about Stockholm and stuff last year, or like at least the end of last year, even if it changes the comps slightly going from map to map, it's still worth it. It's 100% still fucking worth it. And we do see a new level of like, okay, I spoke to Krusty actually about his mercy ban for Gen G earlier, and he was like, at the end of the day, sometimes we don't want to ban a hero or protect a role. We don't want to waste a ban for later in the series. There is like an added level of like discussion that you can go into a series with. And I think Gen G did a good job of like picking a map and banning a hero to force teams onto comps that they're not comfortable with. And yeah, I think it's great. I think I think the true test for the ban system will come when we get a Mauga-esque meta again, where it is hard Mauga or hard Orisa and Mei and Reaper. and it is going to be the most brain dead Overwatch once again. That is just hella boring to watch and hella boring to. I think that is where the ban system will really prove itself. But I think currently, good, because the meta is also very fun. And also, on top of that, if the balance just continues the way it is, I think we're kind of chill. We're kind of fine, right? Because it seems like they just want to make the fun heroes kind of a little bit OP.
This is great. I love it.
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, you could argue that Hazard is relatively hard meta, like, but I will say,
yeah.
But also, like, I mean, also you are seeing a amount of variety was like occasionally, and you are seeing some changes at least.
Yeah.
And, I mean, also Amplify is playing. I don't know, like, it just depends. I mean, because to me, it seems like it's once again we're essentially saying like it's only going to be an issue if something becomes like hard meta, but it's like what Hazard is kind of hard meta. It's just everyone's kind of more cool now, you know?
Right.
So like it's just once again like it's not an issue of hard meta. It's like, is it a meta we find fun? Is it a fun meta?
And that's what I'm saying. That's when the ban system will truly get tested and like how fun the series are if it becomes like a Malga meta kind of. And that's where it's like there's so many small pieces that need to go correct for it to be like a fun viewing experience. And I think right now we have that. We had that, funnily enough, at the start of last season as well. The start of the 2024 season was like super open. There was like dive being played. There was rush. There was a lot of comps that were just, okay, our team is very good at this style. We're just going to run it. And then eventually we got to a point where Malga was just, and Orisa was anything else. So yeah, it's hard because there's some elements that are in our control and there's some that aren't. And the ones that aren't are like it's balance of the game. So I think for right now, I think it looks good. And I think if we did have more of a free range ban system, I think that'd be kind of interesting in a way, because then you can just perma-ban the Malga if it's like Malga meta. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, that's my argument. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to protect fun metas, having free bans essentially probably have the most fun metas possible. Right. And also, it doesn't. I think also having free range bans, like, because we do, like, okay, like whoever first banned last time, they don't get first next time, like, right? Because it's not loser pick; it's just map.
No, it's loser picks the ban first.
Okay, so yeah, so loser,
Yeah.
so that's fair. So
yeah,
in that case, like the whole point being there is you can still protect bans, right? So like,
right.
Like there's still that we still have that option in compared to like maybe like or the one-off system we have. Bro looked like he just had to go shoot.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's crazy. The way he just hopped off. He had to hold his pants off. Oh, that was great. Let's get into the matches. If you had nothing more to add on the hero bans there.
That's it.
Just quickly taking a look at the standings, I suppose, before we get into the matches themselves. Let's start with the EMEA here. And Virtus Pro started off 2-0. They beat the Ultimates, and they beat Gen G as well. Pretty convincing. Peps 3-0. Again, the top teams played 2 matches, so Gen G went 1-1. Team Ultimates went 1-1. Twisted Minds 0-1, pretty surprisingly. So some pretty shocking kind of matches, I gotta say. Virtus Pro looked great, though. Shockwave is my GOAT. Jwoo, 17-year-old, just popping off on Genji and Tracer. In general, a team that really excites me. Avast, I just realized Jaws is not here, and you probably did not watch the EMEA matches.
I watched EMEA.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't stream it, but I watch. I watch
okay.
like when I'm getting, because in the morning, like the thing is, like I'm getting ready and doing something. I'll watch it on the background and have it up. I have shit to do. But yeah, like I definitely watched. I agree with the assessment. I think Virtus Pro is by far the best team.
Myself, I feel bad. I'm back.
I think Virtus Pro is by far the best team, with like Gen G probably looking like, you know, obviously in my opinion right now probably looking the second best team. Okay, I was really impressed with Jwoo. I think also what's really interesting about EMEA is just because they have the huge amount, like a much larger amount of Korean players in EMEA this year compared to like every other year. And, you know, I know Christopher was talking about, it's like, well, like this region has a lot of money this, like, I'm like, yeah, the region does. I think the influx of a lot of like Saudi Arabian organizations has given a lot more money to attract talent to Europe more because in the past Europe's always been the poverty region to a degree. Like it just doesn't have it never had that much money, and obviously it was attractive for if they're like similar. But I think that's really good for Europe in general because finally Europe like can just essentially get farmed by Koreans well outside of the international stage. And like I really do like Virtus Pro look fucking crazy. Jwoo is a great talent.
Yeah,
like I think
geez.
Gala going to Virtus Pro as well, like a player that was really good and like very mechanically talented. And like Shockwave is I've always been a big fantastic tank player for this team. They have a really well-rounded team. And more than that, not just are they well-rounded, but they look one of the most and like cause like I look at a lot of some of the I think teams that had losses in EMEA compared to like Pro or even Genji at times, and I don't think they have near tempo. They're not like they're not ult tracking as well. They're kind of like just popping shit comparatively, and more importantly, especially with the hard hazard, they're just a lot better at initiating fights. So overall, like I'm really impressed with Virtus talent they have on the team. How just over like I actually think EMEA is going to be my first time ever saying this. The EMEA is going to be kind of exciting, just because of this influx of talent that's been added to a bunch of talent.
Happy to have you here. Happy to have you here.
Because they have a bunch of like obviously good like long-term talent, but like they're finally. I think Europe's had an issue where like they are getting new talent, much like North America is, and I would argue Europe actually in a way has had more new top tier talent like kind of filter through this North America phase. But holistically, not as much experience, and I think this will actually be like kind of an.
Bro, Jwoo looks like the second coming of Christ.
Guys are he's fucking free.
He's so good. He's just freaky. His hero pool is also well, right now it looks really good because you can play Genji super high level. You can play fucking Tracer too. Like everything is looking good for Virtus Pro. I think Vetola looks like the best tank in EU. Jwoo is the best DPS in EU right now. Like I don't think you can argue with that, especially the way the ultimates formed. Well, like get onto that in a minute, I'm sure. But yeah, wow, this team is insane, ridiculous. Actually, I think it's so funny because everybody was like, "Well, the ultimates are going to be the best, or going to be one of the best." Like these top two, and they kind of shit the bed this weekend completely. And then Virtus Pro were like, "Okay, that sounds good to us." Yeah. Like, we'll just be the top team now. So I think over the next couple of weeks, like it doesn't change for the ultimates. I mean, VP. I think if you did a power ranking right now, you could easily put a tier break between them and everybody else. I think that.
I think this is only the first. It's obviously the first week.
It's only the first week, yeah. But if this continues,
call,
like,
but like they're by far
the Whoa.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but they definitely be the first.
It's an overreaction, maybe a little bit, 100%. But like the way they were playing and like their understanding of the meta and timings and shit, they just look good. Like they look like they've been playing this meta for like the last 2 years. Like I don't know, it just feels. Investola's like understanding of how to play Hazard too, because we obviously knew this character was going to be pretty damn good. The mobility is really sick, the damage is insane, but like his understanding of like when to use wall and how to use wall as well is like one of the abilities that is gonna. And I think I called out on cast, but like I think wall is going to be one of the abilities that really separates like the good hazards from like the kind of medium ones.
And also, good hazards are good at marking. Are really good at marking squid. Like you'll see, like every top team is doing it. It's not just everyone was doing it. Like North American teams. But like Virtus Pro comparatively was like really good at trying to isolate targets and like push and let Jwoo finish like a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one lot for best teams. A lot of this game Hazard being played is like how is Hazard fighting squishy targets and isolating them? Because like he's not really a tank buster. His best served purpose is helping DPS honestly isolate a person.
Yeah.
And just get a kill. And I think that's like what's so powerful about this best team. How are you getting the most value between DPS and your hazard player? It's similar to like a Winston comp to be of like how are you finding one target to kill? Obviously it's a little bit different because actually know the primal. Also I would argue like and also you can do more a lot more interesting that, but like Like I mean, just
That
even like
wall,
moments like
bro.
that, you're just like, oh
Jesus
shit, like there we go,
Christ.
free kill, right? So that's something where you're gonna see the best teams. How is that Hazard in their yes typically or get together to get a kill. And Virtus Pro are doing it like the best in the region compared to like good ultimates, and I feel like their best performance they had like KSA playing Ram and their Ram tanking style versus trying to like put Hazard, but like they didn't have that level of Webster and when KSA, whether I think typically Hazard player, I guess it's Chase, yeah. Chase was playing Hazard for them, right? So
dude, and I must like Kai looked flat, bro. That guy was like a fucking pancake on the sidewalk. He just didn't show up. There was no like, oh, Kai found a pick. Oh, he did this. Like, oh, big railgun kills. Like, wasn't performing, which is really strange. Like, trying to think of the last time where we saw Kai like really pop off, like really hand it to people. I still think he's a good player, but man, I've been a little bit disappointed with him. At least now. I mean, I expect the ultimates to kind of rebound, but
yeah, I mean, you look at someone like Shockwave, and I'm just like unlimited
glazing
on Shockwave, and Shockwave is just popping off constantly, right? And that's kind of what you want from your hitscan player. Like you look at Sparker last year for SSG, right? And like you look at these top, you go through all the teams, and like all the top hitscan players, like they'll constantly just like blow you away with like the amount of picks they find. Whether you're talking about someone like Seeker in North America, Tree had some moments.
Tree. I ups and downs, Tree was really, really good.
Yeah, especially in that second series, against SSG. I think he had some moments. It was a bit strange that Ultimates came out and they played this Ram composition. At least what I saw when they were playing this is that like they were like the Ram is pretty solid if you just want to sustain on point and if you just want to have point pressure, right? Because it's a bit more sustained than a Hazard. But then they were trying to do these like Nemesis combos, right? Where KSA goes into punch mode and then Kevster is supposed to follow up. Like here, you didn't quite see it because it happened so fast. But like KSA just goes full punch mode. And then you kind of expect, like, there goes speed ring, punch mode, and you kind of expect Kevster to follow up. And I think Kevster is like hero or something. But they don't get the frag. I think Kevster even dies in this fight or something like this. And there was a similar example in the first control round where like KSA just goes in with punch mode and there's no follow-up. There's no follow-up from any of his teammates. And so they're just a bit split in that regard. Whereas Virtus Pro is a bit more like, let's play with our Hazard. Let's follow up with our Hazard. It's a bit more like one-directional in that way, I suppose, where... if your Sojourn hits a rail, the Genji can follow up on that. If your Hazard isolates someone, the Genji can follow up on that. And so it felt pretty one-directional, and it obviously worked for Virtus Pro. So
you're just using way less if you're the Hazard comp, because the Ram needs assistance to like actually get in. He needs the ring. He needs speed boost. He needs something, right? Like he can go Nemesis form and then kind of run at people, but that's great. But Hazard just kind of, and then he needs to hit like a couple of big like boom boom, But like Hazard just goes in, and if the Hazard isn't one-shotting someone or like doing 90% of their health, the Genji, Soj, Tracer, whoever kills them. And with the Ram, you just need so much more setup. And the Hazard could also get out. The Ram will struggle to get out. As soon as that Nemesis form goes down, what do? You sit there, you put shield up, and you sting them with the bees, and that's it.
I think the Ram is an interesting pick, just like stylistically.
It feels way more defensive, though. It feels like if you're playing the Ram in this comp, it feels like you do not need to push them. You need to be waiting for the Hazard to go in. You need to be waiting for Tracer, whoever, to like try and follow up on a kill. You Vortex on the ground, and then you go Nemesis form, and you start wailing on them. You are the one that's wailing on them, rather than like.
I am the one who wails.
I am the one who wails. Exactly. Yeah. I am that guy.
You saw bad Hazard teams. Something that they repeatedly struggle with is that their Hazard gets walled and they're brought down to like 50% HP, and then they need to swipe backwards and they lose all positioning and all momentum. And the good Hazard team that is putting pressure on you, they just get so much positioning and fight momentum that they kind of just snowball every single fight. And so the Ram gives you like a more defensive option, but it is a bit of a cook. But I just think it's interesting to see how these Hazard Ram styles are kind of like developing. I think you obviously saw some great Hazard teams in NA, like Timeless, for example. Like I think Riker like played a really good Hazard on Numbani against Team Liquid, which I tried to break down somewhat, but I just think this whole tank matchup I think is actually like very interesting. It's not super all in. It's obviously a dive hero, but it's not like you just go in and hope you get picks and sometimes you die. But if the Hazard dies, it's actually a huge problem. And so the Hazard is playing for more for survivability than I think people realize sometimes. It's not just like jump on the backline and hope you win the fight.
His survivability is so sick as well, though. It's a little absurd.
And then that's part of the flexibility of the interplay, right? Is that like I do think Ram gives you a lot of better options, like Jack says, gives you better defensive options. Also, I think his ult is far better. His overall like the Annihilation is a better ult downpour. I feel on average it's just far more value than downpour typically does. At least so early in the meta, like we'll see maybe his teams get a lot better downpour because like I've been seeing like I saw teams use downpours like defensive ult almost. Where it's like, oh, we're gonna beat, let's downpour, like lock them in place and chase us. Like so there are some options there, but good Hazard flexibility has, and also more like Jaws was talking, lock down players when you dive, because yeah, you get the slow, you get the vortex, but you don't know a physical wall to catch people. Like that also does some damage. Actually, is case, especially depending on. So like, we'll see, and I think that's where we have to like kind of what do we do there, and maybe they end up going kind of like a direction that could be pretty. It was kind of force comps, and try to be like, oh, let's like get to maps where we can a lot more. Like having those options, especially when a lot of teams are trying to force Jericho or we're gonna try to play like we don't have a lot of like options. That's like Hazard. Or how do we like try to maximize like right? How do we get better like ball? Gives you some, but not like the exact same, and you don't have to have someone that's like Hazard. It's interesting. I think that's one of the benefits of fans here is that there's not the exact same.
Okay, I want to move on to a couple of other teams here in North America. Sorry, in the EMEA. Gen G, Twisted Minds.
That's my ball.
With the wrecking ball.
That's my ball.
Dude, this was so sick. Look, yeah, I know Mag often gets brought up, but seeing a wrecking ball come out and working on the Roto, Top Dragon playing the Pharah, it was a lot of fun. Kanale on the Ana as well. This is one of the more fun compositions I think we had this past week. I really enjoyed seeing this kind of stuff. It's we typically don't see it. Yeah, ball has been getting stealth nerfed, and now we're finally here.
Dude, this push by Irony was crazy, bro. Like, what the fuck is happening?
They're cooking a little.
They were cooking way too much against the ball comp too. I mean, they got a kill, but that was bad.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this: a real sports TV question here. Are you more impressed by Gen G or more disappointed by Twisted Minds?
I don't know. I'd probably say more disappointed by Twisted Minds, honestly. You expect a lot of big things coming out from Quartz who can play the Sojourn mainly, right? RD2, Astro on his on a good pick. Like, yeah, I would say a little bit.
Yeah.
What if I could say I was more?
I mean, pretty fair too.
Because like I actually I feel like Twisted Minds narratively showed me moments occasionally where I was like I felt like they only played one match, right? And played against Sakura, which is
they beat Sakura, yeah.
I'd argue. Like they weren't a team that I'm necessarily fought comparatively.
Sure.
While Gen G, I think the thing that was so strong them throughout this series that the flexibility for they pretty much were just looking a lot more structured, I think, than their first match versus Virtus Pro, though obviously I feel like and also they showed some fun things where Twisted Minds, I feel like, they struggled a bit because when you have like a player like Quartz, like so much of that team is enabling Quartz, and I think Quartz still had like crazy good moments because his hits long, and it's just the problem is that like they struggled really heavily, I think, at times backline aside from the pressure, especially when so good. And something that like Liquid saw in an A was like especially when you're playing like Kiriko. I think what's so great about Ball versus like Hazard is that you can just like repeatedly force Suzu with like essentially no cooldown loss. You just go in, you slam, and you're like forced to pop a Suzu because you might get headshot from right off the slam. So like I actually kind of liked Twisted Mind's performance, and there were still like really good moments, like Courts in particular, and even like the Hottie and stuff. Like there were still moments where I'm like, okay, like I can see some potential here. Like I don't feel like they're feeling really disjointed. Well, I did not feel that watching at all, especially even them like dropping a map to Sakura, which like obviously not like I'm not calling them like the worst team to ever exist by any means, but I don't really put like nearly a top team comparatively.
Yeah, there were some moments where I think Twisted Minds felt a little bit off. Like I think this kind of right here is a decent example where I wasn't entirely convinced by them playing the Lucio Kiri, and then you go up against this Juno Lucio kind of composition, right? I think you kind of just like get out sustained, and I think Gen G just like wins this kind of compositional matchup. But you need Quartz to play like the hit scan hero, right? And so it sometimes it just Twisted Minds, they felt like they were a bit put in an awkward spot. Where I feel like Gen G, they were just like ruthless aggression. I like their compositions. Top Dragon Sauna popped off, like just very convincing win by them. So, I'm really impressed by Gen G. Like this is such a fun team to follow now. I mean, I think dating back to Ioma last year, I've been a huge Top Dragon fan. So, yeah. So I was really excited to see them pop off like this.
I think it's gonna be kind of the interplay though between as we figure out like where teams stand. Is like it's not just the interplay of like, okay, what is our like how are we looking to, like navigate around tanks, but like there's kind of a dance of like, okay, like are we trying to force like Ana, Kiriko, right? Like I think like that's gonna be a very interesting balance between like is like who's trying to force Juno and who's trying to force Kiriko on sort of maps. I think that's gonna be like a really defining factor. Like we talked about John. Especially because like for Twisted Minds, I feel like they're playing like, initially you fights and like, okay, we're playing Quartz like Ashe, right? Like we have long sight lines we want to play. But the problem with like the Quartz on Ashe, like Sojourn and things like that is like Ashe is not a particularly like you can take off angles, but you can't be nearly as aggressive as like Sojourn. I feel like it's not nearly as the Juno, right? Because the Juno is so mobile, so fast. Like, yeah, Juno's fine, but like your Ashe player typically, unless your Juno's like kind of feeding, is not going to be able to punish a Juno, right? And Juno, I feel on average is like when we talk about like ult value, like like Juno gives a lot more sustain and also extra utility compared to the Kiriko, where like you have the Suzu and such, but like the Ray, most people I think like the orbital Ray is like, it's not that Rush isn't strong, but the orbital Ray is like so. And so I just think and having the extra speed. That and also Juno is like really, really good at like you pop your Ray and you can just like pop her little like Orbeez to like deal a bunch of damage.
They're just so much if you're killing people with that.
Yeah, it's and she's just like so, and Kiriko's really mobile too, but like so is like Juno's. Like I overall think that like that's gonna be something to watch for a lot of teams. Is your backline gonna be strong enough to be able to navigate like free Juno to Kiriko to Ana, what comps you're gonna be most comfortable on? Because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of potential as the season on scene. Like, oh, like this comp makes a lot of sense. I think like we're gonna see a lot more Juno on, right? Like it's just like because it's so early, we don't really know exactly how it's gonna pan out. But like looking at a matchup like this, it's like it feels like a Juno is really, really strong on a map like Suravas, and just enjoy some of these like harder hits where you're not playing like
yeah.
This was the map where the bans came in.
Yeah.
Like kind of strong.
Sojourn ban, Ana ban.
Yeah, Genji banned Sojourn and then went Suravasa. And it's like, okay. Quartz started on the Ashe and it's like that comp just needs. And Genji were not giving Twisted Minds an option to get a pick. And then Quartz switches to Cassidy because that's like, okay, we can't play Sojourn here. We could maybe play Tracer, but Quartz is not known for the Tracer at all. He's like a world-class hit scan player. But in this meta and on these game types, like you cannot play that. You have to play quicker. You have to play Genji Tracer, Genji Sojourn, like Tracer Sojourn, whatever. And I think Genji did a really good job. I think this was the best use of bans, at least. Pick and bans, pick the map. And ban the
Krusty cooked.
Yeah, he did genuinely. Krusty cooked. I called him out. I said on the broadcast, he's got the pipe going. He had the pipe in. So yeah, I was super impressed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see how these teams kind of like learn how to play around the hero bans, because say what you will about these being the best players in the world and the best teams in the world and the best coaches in the world, it's like it will take some time to learn hero bans and also how the players will adapt mid-match to the bans, right? Like player confidence to make a swap that maybe you haven't practiced a ton but you feel really comfortable on. I think that is going to be really crucial. It's just like player confidence when you find yourself in these scenarios where like, should I swap to this hero that we haven't practiced a ton but might be useful because all of this stuff going on, right? There's some stuff to figure out here for sure. So I think that could be a team with Quartz that they'll figure out some stuff about how they'll adapt in the moment, what kind of heroes they'll play, stuff like that. So I think all teams are kind of learning, not trying to overreact in week 1 by any means. I think all teams will improve. Yeah, low overreacting, yeah. We definitely don't do that here. Okay, so
true.
We have some more teams to cover here in the EMEA region. I think let me see what match I can find there. I think in general, like all teams are pretty fun to follow. Like they all had their kind of interesting storyline in week 1. I'll pull up this one. I don't even think I watched this match honestly because it was not recommended to me. But Alcacia against Vision Esports. This was the map 5 where people were kind of just like losing it, where it was a bit of a, I don't want to say it was a toilet bowl, but a lot of people were freaking out. There were a lot of like mistakes and fumbles and stuff like that. Would you say that was pretty accurate, Joss?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It, I think, did I call it toilet bowl on broadcast? I think I did. I
read
like
it on Reddit
on Connor's stream. What, you read that people thought it was a toilet bowl?
No, that was definitely a comment I read, that people were discussing whether this qualified as a toilet bowl. And I guess people said that it was more of a fumble bowl than a toilet bowl.
Yeah, I didn't know, because I was thinking that at the time, like, not the differentiation, but like, I was like, is this a toilet bowl? Like, it's hard to say, because like, a lot of bags were being dropped. Like, a lot of shit was just like, okay, what the hell is happening right now? Like, you know, the classic, like, weird 1v1s, people fuck up ults, like, people were just, like, super bad positioning, or, like, there was just lots of small things that kind of added up. Slow dive, by the way, for Vision Esports, a little bit of a goat, I'd say. His Ash is kind of insane. I think Vision Esports are actually a really fun team to watch. Alcacia too, though, to be fair, because I think their flexibility and versatility with, like, Labda and stuff is really fun. And Tread has been, you know, it's been pretty decent too. Taejong, I hyped up last year, but Slow Dive, especially on this map, was like, okay, I just win the game. Like, and they weren't doing shit against him. Like, Slow Dive was just like, okay, I'm just gonna. It's like the hit scan thing where you are just immortal, but like you're not getting healed, but like they are just not looking at you, and you can just do anything you want. That's what it felt like, which I thought was a really weird thing for Alcacia to ignore. Like, obviously they weren't ignored, but it was like, you have such good dive, bro. You have insane dive with the Hazard, with the Tracer, like, oh, sorry, with the Genji, with Checkmate on Genji too. I'm like, how are you not killing this guy? But yeah, not sure if it qualifies for Toilet Bowl. Maybe later in the year, if this kind of continues, maybe it would be. But yeah, maybe a Fumble Bowl is accurate.
So I'm going to intervene here and bring back an old segment of ours. A segment that we called Worst Take of the Week. And I'd just like to personally shout out all the people who last week they watched our power ranking segment. This is North America, I just realized. But here's EMEA.
I think you can blame Jake for most of it.
And we put Alcacia in B.
I wasn't there for that, so can't blame me.
Yeah, and the top comments were supporters of Alcacia. They doubted us. They gave us some flack. They didn't think we were that we were preaching them enough. Some people thought that Alcazia deserved to be in the Gen G versus Pro tier.
But that's a crazy take.
I think,
do you know what I think? Like, that's not that.
Well,
okay.
but also,
It's
okay, we're
not
talking
that-
with fans of Alcazia.
Yeah,
know?
it's
so, like,
okay.
Obviously, you're
not
fighting to
that-
get you're doing like the speaking to the wall moment. You know,
Yeah,
you're getting
sure.
Dono. You're Dono wall. You're getting Dono wall. That's to them.
Maybe they should. No, because they were top of. I think that's a perfectly reasonable
I think
take,
that's
especially
perfectly
after this week.
reasonable too. I think
I'm
my take
trying
on
to
this
come up
team
with-
is that I have no doubt that maybe individually, like they're great players, like Landon, for example. Love that guy. Checkmate. Love that guy. It just to me feels like a bit of a mixed team, and like I'm not willing to go out on a limb and just be like absolute cinema. This team is gonna be goated. Like I kind of want to see it first. So I'll believe it when I see it. Lambda being your primary hit scan player in a region where you have these insanely goated hit scan players.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not willing to go out on a limb and just like think that this team is
Labda's
going to be
the
goated.
goat.
So
like Labda is good on the silly heroes. Like Labda is very good on the Mei, on like the projectiles, on like the silly
Pharah's
stuff.
amazing,
Yeah, the Pharah, his Pharah is crazy good on the hit scan. Pharah player on a hit scan, yeah, the Dynamite's going crazy. But like the just the neutral versus people like Quartz of all people, like the sickest hit scan in EMEA right now, continues to be so. Even on bad days, I think he looks insane. I don't know, man. Yeah.
I just
yeah,
think
maybe
I
I'm
want to see it first, and like
What's the comm structure like too? That's what I kind of curious.
Yeah, I was about
Who's
to
making
say
these calls?
when I watched some of this footage, and again,
Look at this.
I didn't do a super in-depth review or anything, but it just felt like they were a little bit unorganized. Like sometimes Checkmate would go in and he was alone. Sometimes like Landon would drop an ult and like the team weren't ready for that ult, and like small stuff like that. Like they weren't always on the same page. So that will get better over time, but I kind of just want to wait and see it first before I start believing in this team. So
those small things, it's almost good that they're like evident, and I'll give you the reason why is because you can fix those small things. You can fix the things that are like, okay, we're fucking up with Tread right now. Like Tread is going in and we're not being able to follow. Checkmate is going in, we're not being able to follow. Landon's dropping like an early ult and he's like, something's just not happening. Like those things are very fixable. I think there's still a lot of hope for this team, and for the Alcazia fans out there, I still think give them a few weeks and this team will probably just continually like improve gradually. It'll go up and up and up and up. But from what we saw in this series, it was like, man, this is not the roster we kind of expected. But then, that made our power rankings look pretty sick. I'm not apart from the Virtus Pro.
Well,
we
we'll
underestimated
get to
Virtus Pro. We underestimated Virtus Pro, and we overestimated Ultimates. Okay, maybe not that good, but.
Well, we'll get to that.
Because if it's glaring issues in the team, like big, major, like glaring issues, then they are harder to fix. But if it's like smaller ones, you're like, okay, that's fine. Like we can work on that stuff going from week to week. So maybe it's a slow starter team. But yeah, from what we saw, a little disappointing.
Yeah, and I kind of want to transition with that conversation in hand about the hit scan play to Sakura, and we'll bring in Vision Esports as well. But Sakura Esports, they lost this match against Vision Esports, but in general, another team where I'm like the damage players are just like sick. Like Zoro, no Swedish bias. Like Zoro just like had moments where Zoro popped off, and I was just like, amazing hit scan play. Like great. China, love China in every aspect of the world. But no,
he loves China.
But again, like this was a team where I'm like damn, like the hit scan player is not slacking, and that's where I felt sometimes from like Alcazia, like I'm not sure how much I trust the Labda or CKM, playing the hit scan role for them, because it is a huge impact role. Whereas Zoro just find a pick here on the Kiriko, like at the start of the fight, and it's like stuff like this, like it's huge.
That is the meta right now. It's like Sojin player find the pick, or Hazard go in and then Genji Tracer follow up. Like that's what I'm saying. If there was like a Pharah, like Echo, like projectile, like Labda centric meta, I think that's it.
Pharah Echo.
Pharah Echo.
Yeah.
Just the full projectile meta. The full
projectile
meta.
No, that's not what I mean.
That's not what I mean.
That's not what I mean. Like Pharah or Echo. We're not going double fly.
Yeah, I mean, I think communication is by far the biggest issue with Alcazia. Personally, I like before we even get into like individual talent or anything like that, like. Because like Johnny said, I think they're all pretty talented. But like I personally, when I watched the gameplay, I was like what the fuck are they doing? And like I just think that like, because like as someone that's worked with Checkmate, like essentially I'm close to, I guess it's close to, like I don't know exactly where they're at, but like 2 years ago their English was not very good, and I'm assuming this team has to be common in English, you know, a multinational team. And it's more than likely that they're probably trying to use English. And I just think that like knowing like Checkmate, who I consider, who, you know, I think most people would be like, yeah, it's probably going to be one of the star players per se. Like they're really going to rely on Checkmate for someone that's had like a really watch, you know, like, and also like, you know, they have like other great players, of course, but like comms seems like a major problem that team right now, and like organizing what the hell you're gonna be doing, especially in particular, like it's not just in general, but like when you're looking at a hazard meta like this with like Genji, so much of this is based on like, okay, I'm poking, okay, the dive's going out, like wall, like let's follow up off the cooldown, like, you know, there's a lot of like steps and processes for like any sort of dive comp, especially really really fast, to where the worse comms you have, the worse that debt essentially pile up.
Yeah,
you know?
I think I remember something Jake always used to like meme about, where it's like the engage beat, like engaging with beat, like dropping Sunbear off the roof and just going in. People like that. Beat. But this is actually a meta where it's low key, like sometimes useful. Like for example, let's say the enemy team has a Kitsune Rush and Orbital Ray, and all you have is a Sound Barrier. Like going early to force a bad Ray or force a bad Kitsune Rush is actually useful in some moments to give you a slightly better chance at winning the fight, right? And so you're constantly, every fight, trying to dictate about, are we pushing super aggro, or are we leaning back and building our own support ults, and stuff like that, right? And so it's a very like communication, teamwork intensive meta in that regard. There's a lot of like back and forth. There's no, oh, let's just sit back all the time. There's no, let's go play aggressive all the time. Where it's actually a bit of a, you know, back and forth in that regard. So it seems pretty intensive in that regard, I find.
Yeah, the comms meta.
The comms meta. Let's talk about Sakura and Vision a little bit here. The team's big meta. Sakura, they start off 0-2. They lost to the Ultimates, and they lost here to Vision Esports. But in general, I kind of like this team. I think Yatori is sick. I think Zoro is sick. China's sick. They had 2 rough matches, and there were some definitely like fumble moments. Like I think on Havana here, they had like a horrible Havana attack. Vision Esports specialized in like double flex kind of like lineups as well. It was like pretty impressive to watch Vision play that way. But I'm still in love with Sakura Esports, even though they went down 0-2. I don't know if you guys have any additional thoughts on this team.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a team not exact. Look, if you look across the board, like compare them to Virtus Pro, Genji, etc. Look at how historical some of those figures are. This is like the team. I don't want to call them like the new age of Overwatch esports players, but like because they were in last year, obviously, right? But this is the generation of players that are one day gonna succeed over someone like Kevster, maybe, you know. Although I don't want to speak too soon. That guy is never going to age and still going to be insane at the game. But I think it's promising for the team that and the players that they're continually making OWCS through the through Face It. Hattori has got an extremely deep hero pool, which is unbelievably important. Like, I think that's the biggest boon for the team. And China's very good on Tracer, decent on Genji. Obviously, they would prefer to play Tracer, but I think Hattori for me and China especially are the best aspects of this team.
Yeah,
I think that's a very fair point. I mean, overall, it's just they remind me essentially of like Amplify in North America, or like you know, Bad Esports like that. You know, it's just like they're good players, like a lot of players that are like, you know, grinding up from that tier 2 level. But like they just don't have a lot of like veteran talent, have a lot of like proven, and it's just a question of like, can they shape up? Because like the reality is for most teams, and this is not like a thing targeting soccer esports specifically, like your first year in tier 1, especially in like an open system like this, where it's like, okay, we made it through like qualifiers, make it in here, you're probably gonna get your shit like a little bit, because you just don't have the level of experience. You haven't played against this caliber of player as much. It's just, I mean, like I've been there like before when I was still playing. Like I would like, you know, I'd win like, you know, I'd do really good in a tournament, or like when I was playing TF2, I'd win intermediate fight, and like guess what happened? We were the fucking worst our ass got rolled because we were the first. It was our first year playing in a tier 1 thing. Same thing with like when I was still competing. It's just you have to in Overwatch, like it's you have to just kind of accept that like you're gonna have a lot to learn, and there's also it's a very big weed out where like there's lots of players that can make it theoretically, not lots, but there are more players that can make it to tier 1 that can be good. There is a difference there, right? And so that's just gonna be the situation here for a team like Sakura Esports. A lot of the ones that like are they gonna be able to rise to the challenge? And I think Sakura has like they have some hope. I mean, the fact that they went to like Map 5 versus Vision, who I think Vision, pretty solid team, honestly, pretty good team. They go Map of Ultimates, like there's hope for the team. It is by far not over.
Which is exciting because last year a lot of these teams that were bottom of the pack coming in, it was like, okay, they're going to play the game today and they are going to lose. They're not going to take maps. It's going to be 3-0 and it's going to kind of like snooze fest. Whereas like you said, they take a map of go to a map 5 of Vision. I think, it's a lot more exciting and a lot more close at the top level. EMEA especially.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Vision Esports? So they get this win 3-2. Obviously play more like double flex like this, playing like Babsan.
Dude, the Zen, bro.
Dude, simple popped off.
What a beat.
Yeah.
I think Slow Dive was definitely a highlight for this team in
For
comparison.
Sure.
I think Slow Dive was like by far the most out. But I do think that this team, I personally felt like some of the essentially I walked away from this being like, I don't know how I feel about like specifically, I don't know how I feel about like maybe like Ultimate still, like there seems to be some kinks, even though I know a bunch of these players. But like Vision, I'm like, oh, like I can see something potentially cooking. Plus they had like a really unfortunate situation where like I can't remember, I think it was their match versus Sakura versus Kadsia. Like they had like their tank player essentially muted for like the whole map, and then someone else got muted by the admins.
Got muted for 4 minutes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like essentially they were like for a whole
that.
map, like they had 2 players essentially muted. So like where they couldn't even comm with.
That's
so
crazy.
like
That's insane.
I think overall, like I watch Vision, I'm like, okay, like I like what I'm seeing here. I feel like they have a decent rotation. Like they can play these double flex backlines. They can play like a Lucio comp. Like IMO seems relatively flexible. Slow Dive and Taejong both look good, especially Slow Dive.
I thought Taejong looked great. Like
Taejong looks really good, but I was more impressed with Slow Dive honestly. But I think Taejong still good. And like so, I'm actually kind of like I'm kind of like big on Vision. Like not big and like I don't think they're Trojan like but even 9s, but like I think they could be, or at least those top 2, like they could be competing for like a top 3 to 4 spot potentially as the year goes on, depending on I like Vision. I actually was relatively impressed by this.
Yeah, I thought this leading tower was like really well played from them. Like here, for example, they utilized a Ray on the bridge here, and you could criticize Sakura Esports for just walking it down mid every fight, but they have a good ultimate rotations, got an overclock early, they lost Slow Dive, 4 versus 5, they dropped the sound barrier, and they find a couple of picks here, and it can like breaks down. But this was a convincing map 5 from them here on Leading Tower. They just like dominated the control center as well, had clean engages, and good play. So like Vision Esports, I definitely was sleeping on this team. I didn't think they'd come out and be that good. Obviously, Sakura, potentially the worst team in the region. So, again, you beat them 3-2. Maybe not like the biggest result. But again, like I think these are really fun teams to watch. There's talent on both sides. And overall, it's like very entertaining to watch. So,
dude, Taejong just got a no reg on that slash, by the way. So,
yeah, you hate to see that.
Died to a wall, though, so you chill.
Yeah.
The ping. I think, look, Vision Esports, we talked about it on the broadcast, but holy map 5s. They fucking love their map 5s, man. Went to map 5 against Alcatia, and also 2 map 5s getting into OWCS. Yeah, scrappy team is fun to watch.
Yeah. I guess the only team we haven't talked about so far is Gen.G.
Ultimates as well?
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about the Ultimates when we do the power rankings then, because that's going to be interesting. But Peps as well, they 3-0'd Alcatia. I don't think there's a lot to talk about there, but we can quickly just talk about the roster as soon as I kind of find the. They
look pretty French.
My goat soon didn't play. My goat soon did not play.
Indeed, did not play.
Playing yet. Who do they face next? Twisted Minds.
They'll be playing Twisted Minds, which is actually that's a pretty good barometer, I think, of like how good they actually are. Because I find Hadsia to be kind of middling right now. Like they're going to be a bit of a plus. Twisted Minds like showed that they can be competitive with Genji, and which is like looking like a top 2 team. So that's going to be like the real test of like how strong steps. Like, are they someone that's going to be fighting for like a top 4 spot, or are they going to be kind of like?
And FD got Ajaxed. First Ajax of 2025 by FD gods.
That's true. That's
for
true.
EMEA. So that was
well, was that the first Ajax in general? I think it was the first Ajax in general. Yes, potentially. Because Landon did it, or not Landon, because Luke Mino did it later that day, I believe, right?
Yes.
Or later in the week.
Here you go. Here it is.
Oh, you found the Ajax?
No,
there it is.
Sorry, it's the next one. Sorry.
Is the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, next
it's
fight?
actually an insane fight. I sent out a clip on this as well because they win a 2v4. But here we go. Just for you, Jaws.
FD got everybody. Dude, the obs I tweet out, but they've also been so good at catching Ajax. This is crazy. So good, bro. They're like, quick, get on IT God. Look at his health. Boom. Just gets booped. He just gets fucking owned by the hazard. He gets like micro booped.
To be fair, like I felt like comparatively, yeah, it's rough for FD God, but like I at least he can rest assured that I think Luke that. So like he's it wasn't the worst Ajax.
Was something else. So look at this fight. It's 2v4. It's Exodial and Xerion only alive. And Xerion lives here for like, look at him. He doesn't die.
Yeah, dude, what is this guy? Look.
Doesn't die. Gets 1. And checkmates down to like half HP. And Exodial gets 2 on the other end. And they win a 2v4.
Insane.
And here comes FD God. It comes back from spawn.
Redemption play.
It's a crazy fight.
Dude, actually,
I mean, that's just like
movement.
beef.
That's
to be fair, that's also just mega beef too. That's mega.
Your
beef.
2 damage players can't kill a 1 HP Juno.
I mean, that's like such beef. Because like, I mean, the thing is, there's no guarantee. Like, they probably, it's a potential they still could have potentially lost the retest, but like losing players and checkmate being so low, they're just guaranteed.
Oh, that headshot too when Exodia was like stationary. The hazard ult was so.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's so many good hit scan players. Like, if you want to be a good team, you need an insane hit scan, and Exodial is another talent. It's just so much fun to watch. Really yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, they are. Ice Gnome, really exciting on the hazard as well. So, you know, I'm looking forward to see more. Obviously,
this is when I cast with Matt.
What a good name, Ice Gnome. I love the name Ice Gnome, but it's spelled E-I-S.
Yeah, Ice Gnome.
Well, Ice is German, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, no, I just love it. I just thinking of like it just sounds like Ice Gnome. No ice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Me too. I'm really just enjoying the format this year. I'm enjoying the teams, and I'm having fun watching all these teams to play.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get some not good matches as the round robin goes on. But like, it's like once again, like it's better to have some of the good ones first opening weekend.
All right, this is NA. I just realized. Here we go. Switch to true AI companion. Thank you for all these ads. Much appreciated.
Holy fucking! You know what adblock is, bro?
Dude, I did install adblock, and it just doesn't work. I haven't restarted my browser.
Wait, which adblock have you got though? That's
I just got a regular adblock. I don't.
Not uBlock Origin?
No, I don't.
Oh my!
Sorry.
He's not using uBlock Origin.
Classic.
Sorry, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't.
He's not using uBlock Origin with custom filters. This is so.
Sorry, I don't understand all of this stuff. Like I don't research fucking Chrome extensions on the daily, bro. For someone that
spends 12 hours a day on his PC, you know very little about. Very sad to see.
Does Johnny spend 12 hours a day on his PC though?
That's a bit of a lie there. That's a bit of a lie. But I don't know what ad blockers are the best and why.
uBlock Origin. That is why.
We can't be advertising for free, by the way. This is money we should be paid to spell this out. Okay, you're undermining our whole business model.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll reach out to Samsung and see if we can rest this up. Okay, let's just do this quick then. So we had the Ultimates and Twisted Minds in S tier, Pepe Laugh, Genji and Virtus Pro in A tier, Alcazia, Team Pep, Sakura, and Team Vision. So let's just quickly organize here.
Swap A and S around.
Yes, I would.
Peps up, Alcazia.
Alcazia, I'd probably put.
I think that. Nope.
Sakura,
Sakura
2-3. They lost 2-3 to Vision.
Sakura and Vision, like, yeah, they should be in the similar. I mean, like, I think it's. I probably would, if anything, I might put like. I'm tempted to put the ultimates. Nah, see,
this is messed up. This is. It's hard because Peps have not
but
played.
Peps did 3-0. Cats.
They did. They've not, like you said, they've not played Twisted Minds yet, so it's hard to say where they actually stand currently.
Well, here's the question to a big portion of this. Did Peps that was the one match I didn't see that much of. Did Peps like dominate Cadsia, or was it like?
No, yeah, it was pretty dominating. If I remember
Okay,
correctly, it was pretty dominant. Yeah.
If anything, then I'm tempted to put Cadsia as like you could make I'd be willing to put them in B, but I would be tempted to put them.
Wait, didn't they played each other though?
Did they? Oh, you're right. They won in the map 5. Okay, never mind. You're right. They should be above Vision. Okay, in that case, it should be. I guess the question becomes like, do you want to move Cadsia and Sakura to Peps
in B, and
then maybe I'm kind of tempted right now with the information we have to maybe put in with Peps, and then
oh yeah, I quite like that. Yeah,
that's pretty spicy.
But it's very limited. It's very limited data, right? Like Ultimates could be A tier. Like their quality of their players suggests they should be A tier.
So here's how I think about it conceptually. Conceptually, I think S tier, really proven, looked dominant in week 1, looked really good. A, great rosters, but had some question marks and not really what we expected to see from them.
Sure.
Peps is better than the rest, and then C, they can all beat each other.
And here's my other thesis for why ult ABBB was because they dropped a map to Sakura.
Okay.
They dropped a map to Sakura.
No.
But Sakura isn't. They dropped a map to Sakura and they're in C tier. They're looking, and Sakura they didn't beat Vision, and I just think that like, and you look at the quality of the roster. It's not that the players are bad. It's just they have no tier talent really at all. And so like realistically, I'm looking at the performance there, and like to me it implies that maybe like they should be like, should they be in B tier? If not, I'm willing to say like it's fine. Let's just leave Peps as the only B tier team, and like ultimate roster, like the strength of the roster, and the fact they went 1-1, like okay maybe, and like the team they lost to was like probably the strongest right now by far. I was like, okay, you could still be an A tier team.
I think maybe leave them there, but I like the arguments because you just need more data.
I think so too. I like the take of Avast, but I think it's slightly too outrageous after 1 week.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
it's making me a little uncomfortable. But
I'm fine to keep them in A.
Because who do Ultimates face next? They face Vision next. So
which is like, if they drop maps to Vision or lose to Vision, I'm like, that's a B.
The same for Twisted Minds. If Twisted Minds drops maps to Alcatsia,
sure,
I'm
exactly.
TMR playing Peps actually, so that would be a great matchup.
That would be a
exactly.
Match,
like we'll kind of. I think next week we'll kind of like hammer out a lot of like, because Vision's also playing Peps, and like that really determines like, okay, who's kind of like our bottom rung a lot. So like next week we'll kind of know.
I like
where
this.
does the bottom
I like this too.
So I'm fine based off just the historical quality of their players to keep A, but.
And to just to be clear as well, we're ranking them in this order kind of. So like VP 1, Genji 2, Twisted Minds 3, the Ultimates 4. I think. Yeah. Well, let me do that then, because they beat Takura.
Yeah,
so this kind of makes sense to me. All right, there you go. Plat Chat. If Solomon was here, Plat Chat.
Oh wait, I'd also.
What?
What?
Did he lag out?
I wouldn't.
Oh, you lagged out. You lagged out. What would you say?
Did I just lag? Did I lag out?
No. You were just like, and then you lagged out.
Oh, sorry. My cords got cut. I'm just gonna say that, like, also I think long term, how close they were. I just feel like I have this sinking feeling it end up bad see a lot, but because how close it. But we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe interesting. All right, there you go. EMEA, great little EMEA roundup. You'll love to see it. All right, let's head over to North America, where the meme was that everyone beat everyone, or like they beat each other in the ring, or whatever you want to call that. You know, the constant.
It used to be called the circle of suck. It used to be called
the circle of suck. Yes. Yeah, the circle of suck. Yeah.
But the circle of suck is also a little unfair for how early this is.
Yeah.
To be fair.
It was funny though. It was funny because
funny, yes.
Team Liquid, they lost They got 3-0'd by Timeless on Friday, on the first day of the season. And I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like everyone just lost their minds. It felt like an insane upset. Even though we know Rocket, Chopper, Riker, like great squad, but like this felt like a huge upset considering at least I was like very high on Liquid.
Yeah, everybody was. Like, look at this fucking roster. Brew Paul Vega infected a knife? Like, a knife kind of pounded, though. Like, kind of dominated. I will say he definitely looked the best on Team Liquid this week.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I think with the fact that Timeless have been together for as long as they have, like, Chopper and Rocket, like, a lot of these players have been playing together for a long-ass fucking time. I don't know if I didn't expect this to be the result, but I was just... Man. Roster should have been way better than I think it...
Yeah, I'm trying to find a tweet right now. So I was hoping this tweet lives rent free in my head. Where Riker tweeted out me, Chopper, Rocket looking for supports every season, and it's whatever this is. It's whatever this is.
Good tweet.
So they found Lucamino and Squid, and yeah, they popped off. Capitology spoke some smack on Twitter. It was great. Actually, Capitology didn't. Capitology tweeted out, not even sure what to say or something like that, and just 3-0 Liquid. So
yeah,
really impressive win. Liquid looked very rusty in the hazard. Like I said, I made a bit of a video, like just going through the Numbani and how it felt like Liquid got kind of rolled on this map overall. They caught out Infected a ton, where in fact Infected died early here on the defense, and then you win that. So like they approach this fight here. Infected dies, Rocket gets a pulse bomb, and they just snowball. They get point A, and then later on point B as well. Like Liquid, they go for this kind of extension. It's a failed dive, and Timeless just win. And then they drop like a sound barrier and they cap point B. Like they just snowballed. Like it just felt like they were in control. And then obviously Route 66 went to overtime. It was really close. Timeless ends up winning that. But like everyone on Timeless just popped off. Chopper had an amazing hitscan performance. Riker played a really well hazard, I thought. And Rocket is a sick tracer. So like just a very impressive Squid. People loved Squid.
Boy, Squid, yeah. Squid Nation.
It was good. Squid was really good. I mean, this is a great match. I kind of like take it as bad, and they didn't, like, they just played really bad, honestly. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Timeless played great, but like when we see their, I'm sure we'll talk about, but like, you know, they ended up beating Space Station. So like I just think that like I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is a Liquid that came in and we're just had really bad. And also I think honed in their strats a little bit more. Nailed it. Like their hazard play was not particular. But I think Liquid is a team, like they're gonna be really strong on trying to get stuff early on off the hazard and force map wins, like teams off the hazard and playing like ball and stuff like that. So and like hopefully they'll still improve. Like I don't think their like hazard was like abysmal, but it's clear that's just not, there wasn't like a very strong performance. Had some bad individuals. Like, Timeless I think impressed me. Like they looked, I knew they were gonna be pretty. Josh has been around the tier edge for a long time now.
Pretty much.
So like I just think that like, you know, I'm pretty much not reading this match as like, oh, Liquid is dead. I'm more so being like, oh, Timeless is pretty good. But this is also like a really bad performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first match of the year, and I'm like, everybody's like, holy shit, Liquid are gonna start farming. The team is ridiculous. And coming out with like that, I wonder how long that will kind of keep up. Obviously, they did win that 5 map versus Space Station. But it was like maybe a team that gets off to a bad start, but just will start performing as expected more and more as the weeks go past. You know, the more and more practice they kind of get in together. Good looks for Timeless though. I think Riker, Chopper, Rocket, like you said, have been on like the cusp of like Overwatch League, like tier 1 for like such a long time, and just consistently making and doing well in OWCS last year too. Like I think this team is exciting. And getting an early win obviously is like insane. This is like your perfect season start is you getting an early win and a fairly dominant one against what should be one of the top teams in the region. it was just like, okay,
Well,
the nice
yeah, I
little
mean,
round
that's-
robin. You don't have to play them again. You know,
that's
like
right.
you're fine, bro. You're fucking awesome.
And I just think overall, like Timeless, this team will be. I mean, like this confident. You know, you're pretty confident with them and their match versus Nightmare. They're like Timeless is top 3 position in North America, which is great. Like that's a good roster. It's clear they're a very good roster. They have like a great understanding of meta in particular. Like they also feel really confident. It seems like they're very confident in their meta. Like they're not like a hazard only. Like they feel very confident across a variety of different comps. So like this, they're definitely shooting for a top 3. You know, I think after these early performances, if they somehow were to fall out of like the top like 4 spots, like that would be a pretty big disaster.
Yeah, let's take a look at that Team Liquid matchup against Space Station as well. And I feel like the compositional matchup we saw a lot of was Infected playing the Wrecking Ball, and Space Station kind of struggling to shut down this double flex support ball composition. Obviously, Esperanza was a bit of a standout map in that SSG rolled Team Liquid, but it came down to Blizzard World and them Liquid playing these ball compositions. And I feel like this is why you picked up Infected. Like, you know what you're getting with Infected. It's like a really versatile player. You know, stand out on Orisa last year, but you know what Infected is capable on the ball, the Winston, and this is where they really shine. This is where the backline of Liquid shines.
I feel like it's so BM to be like, yeah, bro. It's like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, he's so good mechanically.
Did I lie?
Well, no, but like,
we didn't get to see this last year, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's so sad when you see mechanically gifted players like Infected on like Orisa or Malga. Like, it's so depressing. Then he comes out on ball, and you're like, okay, he's kind of, you know? Like, oh yeah, this is the freak I know. Oh, that shot as well by Tree was
Tree was so fucking nasty.
He was this whole series,
and he was teabagging the entire series.
He was, yeah, it was good shit. Yeah, but it's nice to see Infected on something that's not a boring fucking tank that makes gameplay just.
Yeah.
Good.
Infected's a very good player.
They're a good team. It's clear that
Sorry, Connor. Another thing too, being able to play something like the ball as well is actually really nice. I think it's like an added benefit in the hero ban system we're in now, because it's another thing a team has to ban or like look to ban.
They have to be scared.
You're like, shit, okay. So the wider the tank hero pool is, outside of like the meta tanks and tanks you expect every tank player to be good on, i.e. like Winston, Eva, etc. It's like, these like kind of ball is still like a fringy kind of pick. And now you need to take into account that. So like that's another massive boon to most tank players, is that they can play these weird ones, and weird ones to a very, very good level too.
Yeah, I mean, Ball. I think Ball as a hero for tank players, watch, you know, in the format, having a good Ball player has always been an exceptional thing to have in your pocket, because Ball is, for better or for worse, he is by far the most fucking annoying tank in the game.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like how much impact Ball can have for how little reason you have to give Ball in particular, and the hyper mobility and like the value of the slam and mines and such. So like Ball is, and someone that can play Ball is like at a high level is it's also obviously very strong in like this sort of like hero ban format, because like it's just another tank that you have to be worried about. And like throughout history, a good Ball player is always like, you can just do crazy shit with Ball that's really hard to do with other tanks. I mean, like Shanghai Dragons with Gamsu in the Ball, yes comp. You know, like there is a lot of opportunity like Ball comps and be really strong because of how mobile and like the ability, especially when like Kiriko like force Suzu and then just back for like another engage. It's just so powerful, especially when you're combining with the Sojourn, because you have to fear, like, you just have to fear getting ground pounded up, because like the combo of like being launched in the air and then headshot incredibly. So like this is something that for Liquid, I think they're probably gonna like try to force a lot more, because I just think like it's just historically a really good Ball player can do things that are crazy. It just do things crazy, and it can break apart the meta because of how strong Ball is and how mobile Ball is and how much value Ball can provide the team if you play it really well.
Yeah.
It's so different than every other tank. Like even Winston, like, yeah, sure, Winston's really mobile, Hazard's really mobile, but like you just can't be as survivable. You can't be as fast. You don't like the ult is better. ground pound, like the ability to slam someone up and lock them in place and put them in the air is just like quite possibly one of the strongest combos in the game, if not the strongest. So
yeah, there's a few things here. One is obviously like some months ago, it might have been like half a year at this point, but they increased the pile driver duration, the duration you're slamming to the air. And then it was also Sombra got reworked. So Sombra is a less reliable counter pick to ball these days. It's not like going to totally, because Sombra can get punished more with the translocator and there's no permanent invisibility, right? Hero bans as well. Hero bans gives you one additional, and it's not always relevant, but hero bans at least allows you to take out one hero you might be worried about, which could allow you to play some kind of like double flex ball composition, right? So there's a few things that kind of frees up ball to at least see some playtime here and there. And I think we saw it in both regions, you know, that is quite useful. But yeah, I think that was really Team Liquid playing at their best, like playing a style that they can play that no one really can, because they have the Vega RuPaul backline, because they have Infected as their tank player. And I think you saw a team like Space Station kind of struggling, where, you know, they struggled to get the dive on. They tried to go like Genji Tracer in the tail end of Blizzard World, but you want Seeker to play the long range hit scan. And if you're playing Sojourn or, you know, long range hit scan into a ball double flex comp, it's so hard to like win that matchup consistently, because the enemy backline is so powerful with, you know, an Onasen or something like that. And again, you can't really kill the ball. It's so hard to have that game-changing impact. And then you have Knife coming in on the Tracer as well. And on the Tracer, and just kind of tearing you up. So that was great from Team Liquid. Great to see some life out of them. But Space Station, again, you know, they're no slouches either. They went 1-1 after they beat who did they beat? Nightmare? I'm pretty sure they beat Nightmare.
Yeah, they beat Nightmare. So it's a good, I mean, Nightmare, I mean, like, I still believe potentially that Nightmare could be like the dark horse stage, even though like most people have like Liquid and Space Station. Despite losing to Space Station, I think that it shows, because I mean, like, okay, they beat Timeless, who beat Liquid right now. Obviously, bad performance for Liquid. Like, I just think overall, like, this team has a really, really, like, they picked up, like, you know, the person that's been competing for the best flex support slot with RuPaul for North America for a while with UB. Like, I think Zira has continued to be like great. Seeker in a hard hits game meta is obviously like great. They have Kuffa, who, like, you know, really, really good, really solid across the board. Like, I still believe, and then of course Admiral. The biggest problem with Nightmare that I maybe underestimated going into this, and maybe that's going to hinder them, is specifically they do not have a lot of flexibility in their backline. The problem with Admiral is that Admiral does not really play flex support. And I think that's in my opinion, might actually be the thing that's going to hold them back the most for potentially doing really well on this stage, is that, like, sure, Admiral's fantastic on, like, you know, the main support picks of like Lucio, but like Admiral does not play Kiriko. Admiral doesn't play like Juno. Admiral doesn't a lot of these things, like Ana, like things you might see, or even Zen, which you see like a lot of other teams trying to utilize. And I think that's gonna hurt them, because like every time Lucio was banned, every time there was a map where like a Lucio comp in particular, they suffered a lot. And it was even in the Timeless, same thing in the Timeless match, where like there was like, I feel like Timeless was able to the fact that like if Admiral's on Lucio, they could like really try to like poke. That's my biggest fear now with Nightmare, and why I might be downgrading them. That, which to be fair, is my own fault. I should have been like, oh yeah, Admiral probably doesn't play. So yeah, they're a really good team, but overall, I think in my opinion, I think the clearest pick still from like, it's still very possible. Like, you don't know what Nightmare's going to cook up, but that's my biggest worry. Admiral, and like, what is Admiral going to? Because like even Space Station, like Bliss can flex. Like that we've seen I think we've seen flex a little.
Yeah.
So
I'm having vague memories of Dallas Fuel Bliss doing some flexing.
Dallas Fuel.
Yeah. But
we bring back the Dallas Fuel.
bring back, well, Hastro, get on it. Pick up Timeless. Come on. Or well, acquire Timeless, I guess you say. But yeah, I think as it relates to Nightmare and Space Station, like amazing damage duos, they feel a bit more straight up compared to like a Liquid who can play the Wrecking Ball and stuff like that. Kaffa can obviously play the Winston at a really high level. Kellan can play the Winston at a really high level. You have Lethal and Zero who can flex. You have Sugar Free and Secret who can flex. Pretty comparable in that, you know, kind of way, I suppose. But yeah, Space Station beat Nightmare. And I think they're all kind of contenders. That's why I think NA is so great. It's just like they're all kind of contenders to have a chance to win the entire region, So it's really fun to follow. Not sure I have anything super insightful to say about how either of these teams popped off this week, though.
I think it feels like, again, same thing with EU, where the power level of every team is a little bit more spaced out now. Like, there's a lot of teams that are very good. A lot of the talent has been spread apart across all these rosters. Yeah, I think we're in for a good year. Regardless.
Yeah, every week there's going to be banger matches, like week in, week out. And
yeah, which is important, right?
It makes our job a little bit easier too, Joss, as podcasters, and trying to podcasters are trying to talk about these matches as well.
That's true. That's our full-time job.
Yeah, podcasters.
Yeah, we excuse me, we make $0 or something like that. No, but honestly, like, because like last year, like there were some weeks where like, what should we talk about this week? But now I'm stoked to talk about every single week, recapping everything going on. So it's a lot of fun, man. Like it's just a lot of fun to follow after this first week of OWCS. So
yeah, let's do the power rankings.
Let's do the power rankings. You're like, screw Avidity, screw.
Sorry, shit. Teams, yeah, my bad. No. Let's talk about BPL. Let's talk about BPL.
Jack said, actually, I don't give a shit about them.
No, man. I do. No, sorry. Go back. I kind of forgot. Okay, I forgot. I thought
of NA. That's like, yeah,
Sorry.
I've seen you checked out. I've seen you checked out at the lower end of. You're like, I'm done casting. I can just put up my feet. Avast can do his thing, and I'm just gonna chill in this call. No,
in the co-stream? Yeah, of course, bro. What? Do you want me to like be fucking?
All right, time for you to start putting in some work.
A few thoughts. Drunk. My new goat. Drunk. a lot of fun. Shikigami. They played Amplify. It's not this matchup actually, but I don't know. I watched Shikigami against Amplify, which I think was one of the last matches on Sunday. And that was just a really fun watch. There were some spaghetti being dropped. Specifically, I'll just find the moment. It was hilarious.
Drunken Blade.
The Drunken Blade. This is the last match of today. Sorry for being scuffed. I'm really trying here without Solomon.
All good.
Without Solomon here.
Amplify as well. BPL team.
Yeah.
Shout out BPL.
Well, I think we talked about that in there. I guess we haven't talked about that. Yeah, there's a BPL team. Hashtag I have a phoner. Hashtag I have a phoner.
I have a phoner. So we got 30 seconds remaining on the attack.
This beef was crazy.
Drunk as a blade. He's alone on the cart. And he just pops the Dragon Blade. It's like, I'm clutching this up. And it does not go well. But Crazy Cat drops the Kitsune Rush against a single Winston. And the Winston's like, okay, we take those. And Shikigami ends up winning point A in overtime because Crazy Cat dropped the Kitsune Rush. Yeah. So the drunk blade worked. The drunk 1v3 blade worked.
No, it did not. They were completely isolated incidents. What are you saying?
No. It got the Kitsune Rush out. And then Shikigami continued. Danny's playing Sombra. We got a Sombra matchup. Sombra v Sombra.
That EMP was crazy, bro. Like dropping off the fucking side of the high
ground. And it didn't get anything. I don't think the EMP got a single frag, but it was a blast. Drunk cast Blade again.
Spaghetti.
This might not be the fight. Yep. This is kind of scuffed, but I don't know. I had fun. I enjoyed my stay. So I'm not sure again if there's any mind blowing.
I mean, it was an entertaining series.
It was
like there were a lot of scuffed moments, but
yeah, it's just
toilet bully. No, just
not toilet bully.
Not toilet bully. It's just drop a little fumble ball.
I think unfortunately Amplify looked by far the most raw out of the bottom three rosters.
They had a rough time.
Talent and coordination. I had a lot of hopes for them coming in. It was like, oh, they could have maybe they could play the Sombra comp, which is I saw them play 2 qualifiers, and they were really powerful with that. And it's just they're very, very raw. And I also think they have a very tough time sometimes getting max value out of this that rush. Winter I think is a little bit more inconsistent out of a top of what have you hit of what you want to be performed. like your has to be like a great thing. So overall, it's just like they just currently out of all the bottom rosters are just the most, by far the most raw of them, and they just have to like, they really want comparatively. I personally, I think Rad is like by far like the best team of like this like not immediate top 4 rosters that could maybe punch up because they have like some talent, a lot of talent that we know. They're really good. But yeah, Amplify's fun team. It's kind of chaos. I think Shikigami is like okay. Avidity is okay. It's kind of a question of like, does Amplify improve enough, or are they going to be bottom tier team? And does Rad get strong enough, maybe punch up in like the timeless nightmares of the, because they do have some very good players, and they showed a decent amount of flexibility. They seem pretty, set on like kind of like hazard, so that was like a lot. So we'll just have to see. I do like what Shikigami does. I like Drunk. I liked Solo. But
I mean, it's Shikigami,
I also,
right? This is
Shikigami. It is. I'm still. I think the biggest problem I have with them, aside the fact that they're kind of raw, I feel like their backline wasn't delivered enough a lot of times in like terms of staying alive. So, but these are all like teams that are not currently in my eyes, other than maybe Rad. They're not really.
I just think it's tough, like Shikigami historically usually top 6 NNA or something like that. But like the reality is you're not an SSG, you're not a Liquid, you're not really on that level. But they're fun to follow. There's some great individual players. Graveyard, as I was streaming the match and I had people come into my chat and be like, "Oh, Graveyard's brig popped off," and I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And I'm like, I don't know, I just had fun watching it. And then
Dude, if you're like, "Fuck yeah, the brig popped off in this meta," I'm like, bro, that's not great, bro.
Whenever Graveyard pops the rally, I'm like I'm paying attention. I'm looking at the Graveyard rally.
Fair enough. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying he can't pop off on the brig, but if like that's the thing you're highlighting and you're like, the brig popped off, I'm like,
I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, if someone says that, I take them seriously.
Sure, I'm not taking them seriously. I'm just saying you want people to be like the fucking Genji ripped face, the Tracer ripped face.
Okay. Now you're doing support erasure because your support players should be pop. You want support players to pop off.
Yeah, of course you do. But like, if that's the highlight, is what I'm saying. Like, then. Yeah,
I mean, you never know. I mean, like, people can have, like, I mean, we've had, like, Ligia Gon in the past be like, "Hey, did you see what Ligia Gon did?" And,
yeah,
like,
we see what Ligia Gon did. Fell off the
that.
map. And Ajax. Like, that's, like, bro, that's what
I do think that they're just...
Dude, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I just think it's, like, it's kind of funny.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's bad.
You just don't hear that all too often. It's like, yo, fucking brig
that's why I leaned in gamer post where I'm like, oh, the brig popped off, like let's have a look here.
Let's check at these bashes.
Yeah, look at these bashes. Let's look at these
we'll
bashes.
Have a look. We'll have a look.
It's funny. I just found it funny, guys.
It was funny.
He hates Graveyard. Write it down. He hates Graveyard. Write it down.
I don't hate Graveyard.
I think the same applies to Rad Esports, where like, King gassed up King plenty when he was on Luminosity last year. Just like the Genji play is amazing.
Chronic too. Chronic as well. Chronic is very, very consistent.
Yeah. So we're gassing up all these players, but unfortunately the reality is like, it's quite obvious you're not tier 1, but it's still really fun to catch all these matches. And I guess there's one team that we didn't talk about.
Well, I mean, technically they're in the main event, so essentially they are tier 1. But
okay. Yeah.
There's not true. Top.
They're not S tier. Sorry, they're not S tier. But they're fun to watch nonetheless. Does that pass?
That passes, yeah. That passes. I mean, you guys can take your time shitting on the lower tier team. I'll defend them. Don't worry. I'll defend them as you guys
up.
Jack be like Graveyard, probably the worst performance I've ever seen. Brigitte, snore. That'd be Jack. That's Jack right there. He's
That's
just
not what happened. You're over exaggerating as
always.
That's so fucked
up. That's so fucked up.
He's such an over exaggerator.
Any wobheads?
Wobheads
went crazy.
I mean, he was good. He did. I mean, I was honestly really impressed with Chupa as well.
Yeah.
I thought Chupa had a really good Genji performance. The Avinity's good. They're a good team. I mean, like, I think if I were to do like and I think probably the result support that, but like it probably goes like if you're looking at the or bottom or rosters or so, like probably have like Rad and then Avidity and then probably Shikigami then Amplify.
Let's do it.
But like I do think that like Avidity is a good team. It's another team that like, do they have enough firepower to break into like the Nightmare Timeless team? Is really the question.
Sorry.
That's
Discover
really-
winter
that's really
essentials for home.
You know what's really cool when you put your ad placement over some of the tools that you need to actually use your fucking feature.
Well, that's because I've zoomed in on the website. It kind of
Fucking
like disagrees it, and not the best code of the website. So sorry about
disconnect
that.
my eyes now.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say, I've been hyping up how entertaining this past week was. When there's Mauga mirrors amplify, I'm sorry.
Fringe.
The Mauga mirrors and the Sombra. I'm sorry. I'm
It
sorry,
doesn't matter
Gap.
that much.
I just can't do with Gap.
Gap with Annie. Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't perma, so I'm like, it's fine. It wasn't.
It wasn't all the time. Okay. Let's do this power ranking. So we had Liquid SSG in S tier. We had Nightmare Timeless in A tier. Rad Ability in B, and Shikigami and Amplify in C. And needless to say, when I said that I wanted the Team Liquid to be the sole S tier team, I was very much wrong in that.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Yeah. Look, you gotta say shit, otherwise you can't be wrong. You know.
Yeah.
You
Weirdly
can't be a
enough,
quiet little
I
mouse.
think the top is fine right now.
I mean, personally, I'm
Timeless?
willing. I think Timeless. I mean, realistically, Timeless.
No, the top is fine. As in S is these two, A are them two.
I mean, I
You
don't
just
think
want to
that's- I
leave
think it's-
it.
No. That's. I think it's willing. I guess it depends. Like, are you willing to just say like, because even though those teams lost, they're granted Space Station lost to Liquid. Essentially, you're just like, well, these teams are good enough. Because to me, does an A tier team? Are you essentially saying that an A tier team can beat S tier teams, just not consistent?
Yeah,
Same?
I think that.
They 3-0 them. I feel like that we're disrespecting
That felt
Timeless
like
massively.
no, but I feel like we're disrespecting Liquid as well, though. I don't think Liquid was just on their game, and then they played against Space Station. It was like, okay, these teams are sick. Maybe look, if we want to do that, we have to put Nightmare and Timeless in the same tier as we just have 4 teams.
Pretty much, they'd all have to be the same.
Why?
Yeah, because everybody was beating each other.
'Cause
Timeless beat Liquid.
Oops.
Space Station beat Nightmare, right? But then Liquid beat Space Station, and this is what the whole circle of suck was. But it's not a circle of suck. It's like a circle of like actually these good.
I mean, you theoretically could make the argument that those 4 teams are by far they're all on the same tier together.
Yeah, I think either
because I guess my question becomes like, where's the justification for putting? I could see Space Station. I could see the justification for Space Station not being on the same tier as like Timeless and Nightmare and such, and even like you could even make but like it has to be on the same tier as Liquid. But like, where's the justification for not putting Liquid amongst with Timeless and Nightmare? But like considering that, it's just I think it's just really they're all pretty close. Those 4 teams are close to each other right now. There's evidence that they could all beat each other.
Let's put them
and you could make the argument that no one's S tier in North America. You could, but I guess our question becomes like, is S tier a separate quality or is it relative to the region?
Not a separate quality. Otherwise, every team.
I guess.
Yeah. So
I guess if they're all beating each other, then none of them are perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
no, because
exactly.
you could have 4 S tier. You could have 4 S tier teams.
I
You could
think
just move everyone
okay,
else
sure.
up.
Let's do that. 4 S
Okay,
tiers.
so here,
Liquid,
looking
Timeless,
ahead
Spaces.
to the future, if you leave them all at A and one stands out next week,
Yeah, we
then
can
it'd be
move them
easier for one to move up to S tier.
Okay, that's actually reason.
You wouldn't have to move everyone
I
down.
like that. Sure,
I guess
yeah,
my
okay.
question becomes: is the point of S tier? Are we also saying that like you're just saying none of these teams are standout? So S tier is
No,
always going to be
well,
like a team that can't be beaten ever.
I'm saying S tier would be like
They come in, they
are
pound.
by far the best in the region.
Right,
and right now we don't have by far like any of these are by far the best in the region.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable. Having those 4 in A, yeah, I think that's fine. And then, like you said, we can move them up next week when they start being. What do they have? What do we have? Time. Amplify,
Me
Liquid versus
personally,
Rad,
my
Liquid
personal
versus-
preference is if we were ordering it that way, I'd still put Space Station above Timeless, and the reason for why
Okay.
is I think Space Station feels a lot more consistent.
Okay.
They feel really
Which is
consistent.
fair.
They feel like they're still playing to their strengths really well. Like, yeah, it wasn't like people were saying that like, oh, like Seeker had like a bad game versus B, but overall he still had like a good performance. Like he also clutched up on some Tracer moments. Like Ro fucking clutched up. So I personally would still have like Space Station above Timeless if we were doing it.
I'm not
Me
going to get
personally.
granular with it because they were all beating each other.
Because like Space Station was also just far superior to Nightmare in their
Sure.
match, or not far superior, but we're stronger, and Timeless lost to Nightmare, and I think a relatively convincing.
Stop Space Station and
So-
Timeless.
Yeah.
Then swap Timeless and
This?
Nightmare. No, put them all in the A tier. We already
No, because
discussed
the
that.
thing is, we already discussed.
that.
They all have to
Sorry,
be in
I
the same race
spaced
here.
out.
No one.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay. Pretty much, it should be Liquid Space. It should be Liquid Space Station, then Timeless Nightmare. Yes.
Timeless lost 2-0.
Oh, that's true. Timeless
Then
did
they
lose to
beat-
Nightmare.
But they beat Liquid. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't
But
matter.
that was also Liquid looked really bad in that game.
Who would you
So
put
that's why
between
I'm.
the two?
I would
They
pick
actually
Nightmare.
they played. Never mind.
I would pick
Nightmare.
Yeah, I would pick
Yeah.
Nightmare, and they won. So like, I think Nightmare should go with Timeless. We should put Nightmare above.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah,
I think that's
this is fine.
Okay.
Then
I propose moving up
Amplify-
Shikigami to B.
Sure. I think Rad belongs in B. For
Well, here's
sure.
my question in relation to that. I don't necessarily know if Shikigami.
Yeah, that.
I think Avidity right now looks stronger than Shikigami by a decent. Like, I don't think they're. I think they're probably in the Amplify tier now for me.
Amplify tier.
Oh god.
Like that?
I mean,
Amplify at the very
yeah.
bottom?
I mean,
Amplify did lose both their games, right? And they only
I can
and
see
they also
Amplify not-
didn't look very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
messy, bit
Yeah.
slop.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
fucking slop.
I mean, Amplify did take a map off of Avidity there.
Yeah,
But-
and Shikigami.
And Shikigami. But once again, that's like so, which is also why we're like, yeah. I could live with that.
This
could live with
looks
that.
pretty good.
I could live with that.
say.
Amplify lost to Avidity and Shiki, which are like
Yeah.
they're two winnable matchups. Like they're probably not gonna win a
Yeah.
match this stage.
This is good. B tier, Rad, Avidity, and then, dude, they're called Rad X Avidity. Christ. And then
Yeah,
Shit.
I think that's fine with me because if we're admitting that like no one is like by far on a best better than a bunch of other teams, that's
Yeah.
our qualification for S, then sure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right. Brent's player of the week. We kind of got away from this segment a little bit. We're bringing it back. The season's back. Brent's player of the
Bren's
week.
player of the week. Can we do the OBS team for catching all the Ajaxes?
I mean,
Well,
that's
it would've been
a
nice
little.
to get
Hill is
a
my
player,
word of
maybe.
the week, by the way. Oh, an actual player? We never
Maybe
do
for
an actual
once. For once.
For
Christ,
what?
bro.
I will say.
Jay Woo, Shockwave.
Jay Woo. Okay, Jay Woo.
Want to do Jay Woo?
Yeah, easy. That's
Wanna do
easy
Jay
for
Woo?
me. Jay Woo, Bren's player of the week.
Jay Woo.
First award. Yeah.
First award of the year.
Uh,
17
Jay
years
Woo.
old.
17.
WGS Phoenix 02 Academy poker face player.
Congrats, Jay Woo.
I mean, this
off.
is a pretty
Sure.
when you think about it, like if you look at this, this is like the Overwatch League when it was like, oh my god, who is this player? Who is this player coming in from tier 2 Korea? And then holy fuck, actually they're kind of goated. Yeah.
They popped off.
Yeah, this is crazy.
What a find.
Jay Woo, everybody.
Smash coaching popping off.
Smash coach.
Smash coach popping off. This has been a big esports episode, but director's blog came out. Any comments on this whatsoever? You can still buy Jade weapons.
only
They're
one.
removing Clash from competitive.
Thank God that mode.
Yeah, they got Drive coming back. They talked about some of the heroes coming out. They're promoting the Spotlight. Mini 66 competitive season. I've
Okay.
been talking about this. I talked about this. I'm so happy.
The only
I got
thing
it.
I'm gonna say on this is fuck the game journalists for saying once again that they're reverting back to 6v6. Dexerto at dexerto.com. At
Fuck 'em.
dexerto.com. Jesus
Screw 'em.
fucking Christ. Every year. And you know what's
Dishonest.
the worst thing? The casuals and the general gaming audience fucking believe them because they're like, oh my god, news.
Yep.
Not even true.
So it's
It's
honest.
So
time to
people-
dismantle. Jaws saying it's time to dismantle the mainstream media.
Yeah.
So Jaws is saying we need to dismantle the
We're
mainstream
going
media.
on Plat Chat Social. Plat
We're
Chat
doing Plat Chat
Social.
Social. I'm gonna replat that. I'm gonna replat that.
Yeah.
Replat. We're replatting that sentiment. Yeah, I mean it's fun. I mean, like it just says
But
that
it's
they're
kinda
just trying
cool.
stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
I
trying
think
it.
then it was a pretty interesting director's take because they were just like, yeah, we want it. Essentially, weren't they just like, yeah, we just want to make stuff fun. Like we're looking to like essentially rebalance towards like a fun philosophy more so than like a which I think is like very interesting because I don't feel like Overwatch specifically in the past couple years has been like we want to make things like more fun. It's more so we want to make stuff more balanced.
Yeah.
And like oftentimes, and I think, and obviously AVRL has spent fucking forever talking about this, but like those aren't necessarily inherently the same. So yeah, we'll see what that actually entails.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the spotlight. I think, and I said this in a video I did as well, that I think because 6v6 took up so much of the later half of this annual competitive year that they have with Jade and everything, it was 4 6v6 tests. It took up so much time that if you weren't interested in 6v6, you're like, nothing happened. Like they didn't do anything. And so you kind of forgot that if you actually look at it on paper, they did a lot of stuff. They did the Season 9 changes with the projectile size and the health pools. They got all these 6v6 tests running, 3 new great heroes, and like they're keeping it live service, right? But like there was still stuff they did there. They released a lot of stuff. They worked on stuff, right? And I think a lot of players looked at Overwatch like a month ago when the Marvel came out and were like, nothing is happening to the game. They're not doing anything to the game. So, you know, I think that was a bit of a, I don't want to say a lie, but people got that misconception sometime, I think. So going into this new year, whatever the spotlight is, I hope that it gives a bit of a roadmap with like a lot of exciting stuff to come for the next annual competitive year or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But there we go. That's today's episode. Avast, Jaws, thank you for joining me. Thank you for talking about OWCS. It's great to be back. I had so much fun, and I hope you join me again next week.
I won't.
Okay.
Goodbye.